Good evening, baseball fans. Are you ready for this evening's educational edition of This Day in Black Baseball History? This is Phil Dixon. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about a ball player by the name of Earl Battey Jr. I don't know if you ever heard of Earl Battey, but let me tell you a little bit here. This is Earl Battey right here. This is on a 1967 Topps baseball card from my collection. And back when I was 11 years old, I picked up this card, and it was in the first series, card number 15. And if you look, he's wearing this kind of like specialized cotton acetate satin blend jacket. We know it today as a windbreaker. So anyway, I'm a little kid, and I'm following baseball, and I thought maybe if I played for a baseball team, maybe I could get one of those cool windbreakers. And it was kind of popular at that time. As a matter of fact, in that first series, I'll give you a couple other cards. This is card number 3, Duke Sims here, and he is with the Cleveland, and you'll see that he's got the sleeveless jersey, but he's wearing that shiny windbreaker. Yep. And here's another one of Bill Hands. Bill Hands pitched for the Cubs, so he's got the wear them like sleeves, but it's the same windbreaker. And this is the part of the 1967 set. And of course, I was just starting baseball then, and I thought I could be a catcher, kind of like Earl Battey. He was pretty good at that time. But there's some other good catchers too. You might remember this guy. He was in the set, John Roseboro. These are African-American players. So I'm looking at some of these African-American guys and thinking I could be one of them, right? Another guy here, you probably recognize this guy here, Elston Howard, yeah, the 1964 MVP. Of course, I didn't know that then. All I knew was that that's a pretty cool picture, him with the baseball catcher's mitt, and I thought that was something. And I wanted to be like those guys, and maybe if I could get on a team, I could get one of those beautiful windbreakers. And of course, by the time I got on the team, I don't even remember ever wearing a windbreaker. Maybe I did, I just can't remember it. But I do want to talk about Earl Battey tonight, because on May 17, 1954, Earl Battey, who had been an all-city high school baseball player and a basketball player, played forward on the basketball team over at David Starr Jordan Senior High School, which is still there now, but it just goes by Jordan High School now, located in the Watts neighborhood over there in Los Angeles, California. Well, on this date, May 17, 1954, he married Margaret Ann Sanders, and she was the sister of the heavyweight boxing champion in the Olympics, right? Her brother's name was Hayes Edward Big Ed Sanders. He was a 1948 graduate of that Jordan High School, and then he went on and appeared in Helsinki in the Olympics and became the first African American to hold the title of heavyweight champion in the Olympics. Of course, some great ones came after him, but somebody had to be first, and it was Big Ed Sanders out of Jordan High School. So anyway, he was his sister married Earl Battey Jr. Now, you know, when you think of the name Jr., and you mention an African-American baseball player, who's the first person that comes to mind? And I'm going to tell you, probably it might be somebody like maybe Ken Griffey Jr. What do you think? I think that he's one of the more popular ones. How about, did you know Willie Mays was a junior also? Yep, he was a junior. How about Jackie Robinson? Did you know he was a junior? I'm teaching you right now. And there's some current players, African-American players, Jazz Chisholm Jr., he's a junior, and Jesse Bradley, he's a junior, he's a elite Gold Glove winner. Let's see, who else is in here that I might know? Going back to the Negro Leagues, let me see if I can find someone. How about this one? I did meet him, Josh Gibson Jr. How about that? That's a pretty good name there. Josh Gibson Jr. And then we might as well stay in Pittsburgh, because there was Cumberland Posey Jr., right? His father was a steamboat captain, and Cumberland Posey is the first and probably the only African-American who's enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, and then also the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame. But let's get back to Earl Battey. So he's married on this date, and so he ended up going in 1954 playing for Waterloo. And what's interesting is how I remember his batting average. It was 292. So he batted 292 for Waterloo. Can you see how I'm remembering that? So just little tricks that I use to remember numbers, especially when I'm out talking, if I can relate something. So he played most of his career with the Minnesota Twins, even though he was with the White Sox. And the way the Twins acquired him was they traded and they picked up him, Battey, and another guy named Don Menchner. Don Menchner saw him play as well. So I don't remember seeing Battey, but I definitely saw Menchner when I was probably 6'9", 70, somewhere in there that I saw him. And he was one of the few players that hit a home run over the right field wall over Municipal Stadium. I know one of the other ones was Mickey Mantle, but Big Frank Howard also hit one out that same area. So that is Earl Battey. And then Battey would go on to win 3 Gold Gloves. So he was a decent catcher. I think White Sox gave up on him too soon to pick up a guy, and I think it was Jim Rivera or something like Rivera. And they thought that, boy, they had picked up a real gem, but they lost an even better player. And both of those guys, Menchner and also with Earl Battey Jr. So let's go and talk about this. So he married Margaret Ann Sanders, May 17, 1954. So this was a special day for him, and on occasion, he would do some wonderful things on this particular day. So let's go to May 17th, 1957. So this was 3 years later, so third anniversary. And Earl Battey Jr., let's keep that junior in mind. Then a member of the Chicago White Sox pinch hitting for starting pitcher Dick Donovan hit an 8th inning single off Art Ceccarelli was his name, and was replaced by a pinch runner, Jim Rivera, and we recognize that name, right? Who came around to score in a 3-2 come from behind win for the White Sox. And that was on his 3rd anniversary. So let's go to his 10th anniversary, which would be May 17, 1964. Earl Jesse Battey Jr. entered the game as a pinch hitter with Bernie Allen. Bernie Allen played second base, and he was injured and his career got washed out early. But he was on base and no outs. And on an 0-2 9th inning pitch, he hit a 2-run homer off Dick Raditz to help the Minnesota Twins to a 6-5 victory over the Boston Red Sox. That was on his 10th anniversary. So that is Earl Battey. Just wanted to mention a few things about Battey today and talk about some of these famous juniors that maybe you didn't know were juniors, right? Or maybe I'm missing some more juniors. I would be happy to have you list any African-American junior that I might have missed. I know there are many more, but I am always eager to learn what I don't know. So I will go on to say, though, how about let's look at Hayes Edward Big Ed Sanders. He would go on to turn professional. And 1951, I think it was that year, he was in a bout on the East Coast, and he took a pretty bad beating, and he was knocked out, and they were not able to bring him around. So they had to take him to the hospital, and he suffered from a brain injury and died about 19 hours later. And that was the brother-in-law of Earl Jesse Battey Jr., right? And that was the brother of Margaret Ann Sanders Battey. Okay, and then now Battey, because he signed straight from the high school, David Starr Jordan High School, senior high school, he didn't get a chance to go to college. But when his 13-year MLB career ended, he decided to go back and get his degree. So he went down to Daytona Beach, Florida, and signed up for Bethune-Cookman College. And he took 4 years worth of college and completed it in 2 years because he was taking up to 34 hours a credit semester credit hours a semester, and he finished up in 2 years instead of 4 down at the HBCU. How about that? Came from California, ended up at Florida at HBCU, got his degree, and he ended up being a special education school teacher. Actually, his degree was in physical education. He ended up being a teacher, like I said, over in Ocala, Florida. And, well, that's the rest is history. So this man was outstanding, and I tell you what, just looking at him on a baseball card like this when I was a kid really inspired me. And here I am all these years later, still talking about these wonderful men who helped me to become what I am today, which is a baseball historian. But without them and these pictures that I was able to get for a nickel, 5 cards. Sometimes you get that special insert and a stick of bubble gum, and it changed my life. So hats off to Earl Battey, who was married on this day, May 17th, 1954. Thank you, guys. It's been my pleasure to bring you this history. Hey, and by all means, don't forget to go over to my YouTube page. That's Phil S. Dixon on YouTube, and subscribe. We've got bringing a lot of history down the line, history like you've never heard before, unique information that you may not know, but you need to know, especially if you're going to call yourself a sports fan. You might as well get some information that other people don't have. And if you don't have time to read a book, you can listen to some of my broadcasts, and we'll get you there that much faster. Thank you. Hats off to Earl Battey.